Hey, so here's the rundown on the private lessons. So the way that our private lessons are structured is that we would meet up for 5 weeks, roughly, depending if we meet up every week, but we're gonna meet up once a week for about an hour, and we're gonna be covering the fundamentals, right? This is very important that we cover the fundamentals because this is what we build off of into more advanced training techniques like advanced e-collar training. So the On-Leash Basics is the prerequisite program in order to move on to the advanced off-leash lessons. In the private lesson package in the On-Leash Basics, there's a couple of things that we want to be doing, right? So this program is meant to recreate a board and learn type of environment at your house. So with that, you're going to get a private lesson packet. And so this really entails the structure that's going to be implemented at home. Typically, behavior issues that we're dealing with are a symptom of an underlying issue. And in order for us to help our dog overcome these issues, we've got to block behaviors. And each week as we progress, our dog is going to earn more freedom, right? But if we're not in a position to block behaviors, then they're going to be inadvertently self-rewarding with the behaviors that we don't necessarily want. So you get this private lesson packet. In addition to that, we send home this book that was written by a mentor of mine, and you can check it out at The Good Dog, and it's called Love Them by Leading Them, but we send everyone home with one of these books because this dives into the human side of the dog-human relationship. It's very important that we have the obedient stuff going on with our dogs, but then also a mindset shift for the owners. We can't just train the dog if we keep doing all of the same things. So it's likely that if we're thinking about private lessons, we're probably going to be asking you to do a complete 180 from how you're currently living with your dog. This isn't how we want you to live with your dog forever, but this is a means to an end. We've got to create some sort of baseline so that we can see what kinds of things affect our dog. And as you and your dog get better, you can start to experiment with giving your dog more freedom, more privileges, and in the end, just seeing what you get. Because you can always go back to adding in more structure if you start to see regression coming from your dog. On top of the private lesson packet and the book that we send home, as for the lessons, the other thing that we offer, which I think is pretty unique, is we offer almost real-time feedback. So after our first lesson, I would send out a Dropbox folder link, and this is for you to upload your videos to the Dropbox. I will watch them. I will do a voiceover, and this is going to allow you to get some feedback during the week as you're working with your dog, rather than us meeting up at the next training session and trying to cover a week's worth of stuff, information, questions, observations that you may have had. That can take some time, and I'd like us to try to work on that next lesson as much as we can. And so with the extra feedback during the week, we can actually cover a lot of information during that time. And so this gives me just a great opportunity to be able to look at, what you're doing, what your technique looks like, what your food reward's looking like. I mean, we're able to do a lot just based on that video. So you get the private lesson packet, you get the book, and then you get the access to the Dropbox video, which can be just, not just for training stuff, but also just for questions that you might have regarding your dog. Because let's face it, we're dealing with dogs, not appliances, and things are bound to come up, whether you're working with a brand new puppy or your older adult dog or your adolescent. youngster, there's going to be questions, and we want to be able to be there for you to answer those up. All right, so that's kind of like the rundown of the on-leash basics. And like I said, this is the prerequisite program to get into advanced off-leash work. And that's because we need to teach the dog how to move with the leash and understand that really well before we start adding in the remote collar. And likewise, we want you to feel really good with your handling skills before we start moving on to another tool that's just going to be a little bit more difficult, right? It's just a nuanced tool, and so we want you to feel really good with the leash before we start adding in this other thing, and you're trying to learn that as well. So that's just a really quick rundown of the private lessons. And so if you have any other questions, feel free to shoot us an email if you want some more clarification on how that works. All right, talk to you later. Bye.